We'll go ahead and get started. I'd like to welcome each and every one of you to this afternoon's meeting. This is the 14th meeting of the City Board of Directors for calendar year 2025. We'll begin with an invocation by Mike Hill, Assistant Engineer, City of Hot Springs, and I'll lead the pledge. All rise.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for the blessings that you have bestowed on the City of Hot Springs. We ask that you grant us wisdom and patience with one another as we bring the city business before the City of Hot Springs, and we ask that you give us guidance and to make good decisions. Help us all to be patient with one another and help us to make good decisions for the city. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will now call this meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Director Aaron Holliday. Director Phyllis Beard.
Present.
Director Marcia Dobbs-Smith.
Here.
Director Dudley Webb. Director Karen Garcia. Director Steve Trusty.
Here.
Mayor Pat McCabe.
Here. We do have a quorum. At this time, we'll consider approval of the agenda. Are there any additions, deletions to the agenda, or items to be moved from the consent agenda to new business? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Director Dobbs-Smith,
Second.
seconded by Director Trustee. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Agenda is approved. This time we'll consider the approval of the minutes of the regularly held meeting on July 1st, 2025. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Director Dobbs-Smith, seconded by
Second.
Director Trustee. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Recognition of guests. City Board have any guests they want to recognize? You're all our special guests tonight. And we'll move on to the City Manager's report. Mr. Burrow.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. As normal, I'd like to lead off the meeting with my report, recognizing some of our new hires that have joined the City of Hot Springs family. David Butler, Fleet Services, Mason Bradshaw in Police, Chandler Youngman, also a police officer, Diane Fowler with Intercity Transit, and Tessa Gray in our finance purchasing technician. We also have one promotion I'd like to recognize, and that's Tyler Gwynn. He was promoted to the urban forestry equipment operator, and just want to congratulate him and welcome those that I've just mentioned as new employees to the city. Glad to have them. One of the things that I want to recognize, Courtney Kaiser and Katie Yamaguchi, the work they've been doing in our public information department. We've looked for ways on how we could better communicate with our citizens, residents, and those that are visiting. And we came across a really nice video program that allows us to take a lot of our text, things that are in our code and our ordinances, and put those into short videos, kind of a one-step or two-step tutorials. So I've got one tonight that I'd like to show you. This is focusing on our CAPS program, our Clean Attractive Property Service. So if we could take just a minute and watch this short minute-and-a-half video. When we roll this out, you're actually going to be able to hear it. Maybe should have tested that a little bit sooner in the day, but that's actually an AI-generated avatar that's speaking throughout the video. But we've got a number of those that we'll be doing, from backflow preventers, clean attractive property services, parking, other issues that we have going on. But it's going to allow us to shoot information out and have a library that, as we get questions, we can direct residents and citizens and visitors to that particular video. So proud of the work they're doing. That again was taken from a text that we had written, and then it turned it into the avatar in the video. So really proud of the work they're doing, and hopefully we'll be rolling these out in a very short amount of time. Want to make the board aware of a slight change in schedule. Tuesday, November the 11th is Veterans Day, so city offices will be closed that day. We had planned to hold the agenda meeting on Wednesday the 12th. However, we were also planning to bring the 2026 budget to the board at that meeting. So in order to give time to make clarifications, notes, adjustments between the agenda meeting and publishing the packet, we're going to move the agenda meeting from November the 11th to Monday, November 10th at 4 p.m. So that'll be a change in your November meeting, but we wanted to get that to you now so you could update your calendars. Tip a Cop event. We have our annual Tip a Cop event will take place at Longhorn Steakhouse on July 17th from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. You'll get to enjoy some great food and tip a local first responder as they wait on the tables. All proceeds will go to Special Olympics of Arkansas. In the past, Hot Springs Police Department has had the highest grossing event, and we are looking to win again this year and show the athletes how much the great citizens of Hot Springs are, and that they care, and they show up to Tip a Cop. Went last year, and man, it was a packed house. You may have to wait a little bit, but if you're not able to get there, we'll accept donations through the police department and make sure that goes to the Special Olympics cause. Really appreciate, Chief, what you do, and all of our officers. I know from the Polar Plunge to Tip a Cop, you're always servicing and trying to help the Special Olympics, and it doesn't go unnoticed. We appreciate it. Neighborhood Services, Area Number 2 sweeping is take place, the clean sweep. This covers between West Grand and Hobson Avenue from 3rd Street to Mason Street. The last clean sweep in the area was in 2020. It's got about 500 households, so that's in process. During the second week, the cleanup will begin. The sanitation department's clean attractive property service that we just saw, they'll be visiting the neighborhood daily, collecting any of the items that the residents set out curbside. This will not count as one of your free collections that we have each year. Every resident is afforded 2 free collections a year up to 1 ton. The city street sweepers will be out in the same area. Alternative service workers from district court will augment the cleanup efforts, and residents can recognize their presence as they operate from a van marked the litter crew. So you'll see a lot of activity in that particular area. And then on that third week, our neighborhood services will be coming back through, and any of those notices from the first week that haven't been rectified, we'll end up writing some citations. Community Resource Center on Friday, July 18th at 3 p.m. The Hot Springs 50 for the Future will be donating $5,000 to the Hot Springs Community Resource Center to support the center's ongoing work to empower local residents and strengthen the community. 50 for the Future is a nonprofit organization composed of local businesses and community leaders who share a vision of driving long-term economic vitality and quality of life in Hot Springs. By investing in key initiatives and fostering public-private collaboration, 50 works to ensure that Hot Springs remains a vibrant place to live, work, and grow. We appreciate them and the donation to the Community Resource Center. Safe Streets for All community participation event. There will be an event Wednesday, July the 24th from 5 to 7 at the Transportation Depot. This is an important Safe Streets event. Our consultants who are working alongside city staff will be there to explain the project and answer any questions. Computers will be available on site to help community members complete the survey and share their input on which areas of Hot Springs should be prioritized as we look to improve safety for both pedestrians and motorists. And then I want to recognize our Deputy City Manager, Lance Spicer. at the Arkansas Municipal League at its 91st annual convention held on June the 18th through the 20th. He was honored, they honored the City of Hot Springs Deputy City Manager Lance Spicer with the Marvin L. Vincent Commitment to Excellence Award. The award is presented to municipal officials who have served with distinction and dedication to their cities and the league's boards, councils, and committees for 12 years. So quite an accomplishment, and congratulations, Lance. And then finally, sports recreation or fall youth leagues, 2025 fall youth t-ball and softball signups are now going. Signups will run until July the 31st, and games begin the week of September the 2nd. If you have any questions, contact Adam Usry at our Sports Recreation Department. And then the last thing, Mayor, is we are preparing for the board work session prior to beginning the 2026 budget preparation. That'll kind of start off in August. Right now, we're working to update you on your 2025 goals that you set for this year. We've got the 2024 ACFR. You've got a copy of that tonight. The current board fund balance, end of the year 24, as well as 2025 projections, and then an update on the unfunded capital list that was developed in 2023. So I'll be sending all of that information out to you prior to the meeting. Since we're going to do it a little different this year, we won't be meeting on a Saturday morning. It'll be here after one of the agenda meetings. So I'm going to get as much information to you as possible beforehand, give you an opportunity to review that, and then hopefully that night we can spend on just goal setting for 2026, which will help direct staff in preparing the 2026 budget. So with that, Mayor, that concludes my report.
Any questions for our city manager from the board? Hearing none, we'll move on to board of directors announcements regarding upcoming events. Directors have any upcoming events you'd like to make the public aware of? Nothing? All right, moving on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda consists of items of a routine nature that do not merit individual discussion, so at this time I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Director Trustee, seconded by Director Holliday. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Consent agenda is adopted. Got 3 action items this evening. First is to consider Resolution R-25-142 and ask City Attorney to read by title.
Resolution R-25-142, a resolution approving a lease agreement between the City of Hot Springs and Jason and Jill Lockenfora, doing business as Arkansas Therapy Group, LLC, for 507 Airport Road, a property of the Hot Springs Memorial Airport, excuse me. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion, second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Director Dobbs-Smith, seconded by
Second.
Director Holliday. And the staff report will be provided by Don Rollette, Airport Director. Welcome.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As we discussed at the agenda board, the agenda meeting, this building is part of the airport property, but it was a result of a land lease in 1987. Well, I think it was when they built the building, and then it went on to be the Haynes building. There was a lease that once the ground lease ran out and they didn't renew, then it reverted back to the airport. So the airport didn't build the building, but it's been hardware and appliance and tractor parts and so forth. It's been sitting vacant for about 8 years now, when the lease ran out in 2017. And the Arkansas Therapy Group would like to lease this building and do renovations to it so that they can open up another location for their operation. And they're looking to start renovations as soon as we work out whether or not that's going to be approved. It's set at $8 a square foot on the lease. It's a 2,400 square foot building, and the land that goes with it is 0.37 acres, which gives a total monthly rent of $1,859. The building's been sitting empty. It's not brought any revenue into the airport since its reversion back to the airport. And needs the renovation in order for them to operate a clinic environment. It's going to be significant. It's looking at a 3-year lease with 2 3-year renewals as an option. And then because of the condition of the building and the type of work that they're going to be doing there with pediatric therapy, there's going to be a lot of upfront costs in order to get the building into position to operate. And therefore, we had proposed a structure that's in your packet where we would do rent credits at a rate of 70-30 for the first 2 years. And then the third year would be 60-40, with 40 going to the renovations at that point. Once that first 3-year lease is up, then they have 2 3-year options for renewals, and at that point, renegotiation based on value of the building.
Any questions of Don? Hearing none, Director Trustee?
Thank you, Mayor. Don, the lease, I read $1,600 for the building and $700 for the land. The land, is it being, as part of the rent for the land, being reduced and put toward the improvements? They're not doing anything to the land. It looks like all of the rent for the land should come to the city, and then they take 70-30 split on the $1,600. Am I looking at that wrong, or did I?
Well, usually in the lease, the land and the building are combined. They're listed separate in the lease, but then the total amount, and that would come out to $1,859 a month. Yes, and so it would be 70% of the $1,859, the total.
Director Trustee, I do want to point out that when you look at the work that they plan on doing, it's a little over $66,000
Right.
in parts and materials.
Right.
However, he is also a contractor. If we bid this out, it'd be well in excess of about $100,000 for the work that's going to be done to this particular building. Over that 3-year period, help me, Don, I think when we looked at that and what the benefit back to the leasehold improvement, it's around $33,000, somewhere in that neighborhood. So, that's one of the reasons this looked inviting to staff to be able to bring this building back, have about $100,000 worth of investment, and then, returning about $33,000 of that back in leasehold improvements over the 3-year period.
All right. But we separated out the building and the land in the lease, and I didn't see a reason to discount the land lease.
Yeah, the way it was written in here with it broke out like that, I can see that.
Right.
In a typical commercial rental, you're not paying for the land, you're just paying
That's right.
for the
You're
property.
paying
We have to separate it for FAA.
Okay. All right.
So it really is on the gross, but it is separated because of the FAA regs.
And then on the, get down here, the consumer price index adjustment, there will be none the first 3 years. It says that in one spot, and then it says that the cumulative CPI adjustment will be applied effective March 1, 2029. So
Yeah,
we're going to build it.
If
For 3
there's a
years.
renewal.
If there's a renewal.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
So there won't be a CPI adjustment the first 3 years.
Correct.
If
But
they
we will
remove-
accumulate.
Yeah.
That's
that
right.
Yeah, that's
And then
right.
make one adjustment in January.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay.
Any additional questions of Don? Hearing none, thank you. Did we have anybody sign up?
No, sir.
Any discussion amongst the board members? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Director Holliday.
Aye.
Beard.
Present.
Dobbs Smith.
Aye.
Trustee.
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. The resolution is adopted. At this time, we'll consider Resolution R-25-143, and I'll ask the city attorney to read by title.
Resolution R-25-143, a resolution awarding a bid to Belt Construction, Inc. for the construction of phases 2, 3, and 4, Schedule 2 of the Lower Gulf of Gravity Sewer Capacity Improvement Project. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Director Trustee, seconded by Director Dobb Smith, and Joey Stadler, Assistant Engineering Project Manager, will provide the staff report. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Good evening. Staff recommends the award of bid received June 16th to Bell Construction of Texarkana, Arkansas, for the Lower Gulf of Gravity
Hey,
Sewer Interceptor
Joey,
Project.
use
Pull that mic down. Yeah, so pick it up.
Better?
Oh, yeah.
Better. Okay, sorry about that. For phases 2, 3, and 4 of the Gulf Lower Gravity Sewer Project, which is also known as Schedule 2. The award shall be in the total lump sum price of $13,183,721, which is approximately $2.5 million under staff budget estimates. As designed by the RJN Group, all 3 phases of the Lower Gulf Interceptor Project start at the north end of Lower Gulf of Phase 1, which starts behind Lakeside School. It continues north following Gulfa Creek to Burnell Street. The project consists of approximately 9,300 feet of 36-inch, 4,600 feet of 30-inch fiberglass reinforced pipe. ADEQ Consent Administrative Order CAO LIS 22-077 is inclusive of this project. Bell Construction, Inc. was selected based upon certified bid tabulation and letter of recommendation dated June 18th, 2025. Bell Construction, Inc. was the lowest responsive bidder of the 2 bids received. A notice of intent has been posted, and no protests were received. This project is funded by the board-approved 2025 wastewater bonds.
Very good. Any questions of Joey from the board? Hearing none. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody sign up?
No, sir.
No. Any discussion amongst directors? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Director Beard.
Aye.
Dobb Smith.
Aye.
Trustee.
Aye.
Holliday.
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. The resolution's adopted.
you.
Our final action item of the evening is to consider ordinance O-25-31, and I'll entertain a motion second to suspend the rules and read by title. Director
So moved.
Trustee. Seconded
Second.
by Director Dobb Smith. All in favor of the motion to suspend the rules and read by title, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Council, please read by title.
There being 5 affirmative votes, I will do so, Mayor. Ordinance O-25-31, an ordinance amending the zoning map from RN5, Residential Neighborhood 5, to CG, General Commercial Zone District, for approximately 0.82 acres generally located at 413 Hammond Drive, amending the future land use plan map to Community Commercial Center and for other purposes. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Director Dobb Smith, seconded by
Second.
Director Trustee. And the staff report will be provided by Kathy Selman, Director of Planning and Development. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. The owner applicant is Mrs. Lindsay Landrum, and the .82 acres of land at 413 Hammond Drive, in addition to being zoned residential neighborhood 5, has future land use classification of residential medium high, and it's located in Board of Directors District Number 3. It is not platted. It has a church building located north of Airport Road, across from an undeveloped parcel, and from Hammond Drive. This property has approximately 130 feet of street frontage on Hammond. Adjacent and nearby land uses include condominium complex, retail center, adult and alternative learning campus, office buildings, undeveloped land, and the airport. The subject property is adjacent to other CG, General Commercial District Zone properties to the south, southwest, and southeast. The church was constructed in approximately 1960. It's about 4,200 square feet and was most recently the Gardner Methodist Church. Hot Springs Code tells us that the CG, General Commercial District, is intended to accommodate areas of commercial development, predominantly located along corridors and at key nodes that serve residents, the community at large, and visitors to the city. The applicant provided a lengthy narrative detailing the request and asserting the ways in which the application meets the required findings for as far as the standards in the zoning code. Some of the statements from that application are that the proposed wedding chapel will be compatible with surrounding properties, which include a mix of commercial uses and an adjacent school. The surrounding area has evolved to accommodate various business operations and community services. The applicant states that the current residential zoning is no longer suitable for the property. As the building was previously occupied by a church, its scale, parking requirements, and overall design are not consistent with residential use and would require significant modifications to be adapted for residential use. The application goes on to state that the wedding chapel will operate as an event venue for weddings and elopements. The use of the space will be carefully planned to ensure minimal disruption to the neighborhood. Parking will be provided on site, and the applicant will work closely with local authorities to ensure compliance with all necessary zoning, parking, and safety regulations. The chapel will maintain the integrity of the original church building, preserving its historical and architectural features. The design and operations will be sensitive to the surrounding area, ensuring that the space remains an attractive and functional addition to the community. The applicant notes that the adaptive reuse of the existing church building for the wedding chapel represents a sustainable approach to development. By repurposing the structure instead of demolishing it and building new, they are reducing the environmental impact associated with construction waste and the carbon footprint of new building materials. Preserving the existing building also contributes to maintaining the character and historical integrity of the area. The CG General Commercial District is for commercial development along corridors such as this. The property is consistent with the concept and description for the CG zone district and is consistent with the objectives of the zoning code. A future land use plan map amendment to Community Commercial Center is recommended, which would support the requested CG zoning. A future land use plan map designation of Community Commercial Center would be commercial consistent with other adjacent CG General Commercial District zone properties to the south, southeast, and southwest along Airport Road. The finding of the staff report to Planning Commission was that the applicant successfully demonstrated that the standards for favorable consideration were met. Planning Commission is able, therefore, to establish a basis for recommending to the Board of Directors that the proposed change demonstrates compatibility with surrounding development and zoning and is consistent with the objectives of the zoning code. On May 8th, Planning Commission accepted the findings and recommendation of the staff report and by their 7-0 vote recommended that the board approve the requested CG zoning. However, on May 13th, it was discovered that several notices intended for nearby condominium owners inadvertently were mailed to incorrect addresses. In fairness, after consultation with the applicant, a new Planning Commission meeting date on June 12th was scheduled. New notices were sent to all property owners within 200 feet A new sign was posted and a new notice was published in the Sentinel Record newspaper. At their duly advertised June 12th meeting, Planning Commission vacated its earlier May 8th recommendation by a 7-0 vote. Planning Commission then heard the rezone request de novo, calling for testimony, considering the record, and accepting the findings and recommendation of the staff report by their 7-0 vote, recommending that the Board of Directors approve an ordinance amending the zoning map for the City of Hot Springs, Arkansas for 413 Hammond Drive from RN5, Residential Neighborhood 5, to CG, General Commercial Zone District. No public comment other than the written comments occurred at that meeting. And that concludes the presentation.
Any questions, board members for Kathy? Director Dobbs-Smith?
Just as an example, what kinds of things could go in there other than what is being requested? Because if they go away, it's rezoned. What other types of businesses could go there?
A variety of retail, and this is a fairly small site, retail and office type uses could go in that zone.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any additional questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have anybody sign up?
No, sir.
No one signed up. Any discussion amongst directors? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Director Dobbs-Smith.
Aye.
Trustee.
Aye.
Holliday.
Aye.
Beard.
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Ordinance is adopted. That concludes the action items for this evening. We'll move on to Board of Directors items for discussion. Tonight, we received a request from Levi Hospital to have Linda Johnson, their legal counsel from the Friday Eldridge Clark firm, to come forward and provide, to address the board and the community regarding Levi's decision to close. Welcome, Ms. Johnson.
Thank you. Good evening, directors, appointees, and Mayor McCabe. My name is Linda Johnson, and I'm a partner at the Friday Eldridge and Clark Law Firm in Little Rock. I've served as legal counsel to Levi Hospital's Board of Directors for over 30 years, and I've worked with both the current and the former CEO of Levi Hospital. And I want to thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I am here to set the record straight regarding the board's decision to convert Levi Hospital into a foundation and address some false and speculative statements made by your mayor and former CEO of Levi Hospital. Let me be clear. The decision to transition Levi Hospital into a community health foundation was a unanimous decision by the duly authorized Board of Directors, the legal governing body of Levi Hospital. Your mayor is not and has never been a member of the board of Levi Hospital. Any assertion otherwise is not only misleading, it's irresponsible. I want to also clear up the record on the cease and desist letter. Contrary to a local media report, it is not a public document that is subject to disclosure under the Freedom of Information Act. It was issued privately and appropriately after multiple false and misleading public statements were made by the former CEO and mayor. This was not about silencing the mayor. It was about accountability and setting boundaries on the appropriate role of a sitting mayor who is also a former administrator of the hospital. The letter was not sent to the mayor's address here at City Hall. It was sent to his home address and to his hotel's address. I addressed the letter to Mayor McCabe as mayor simply as a gesture of appropriate recognizing his title. Mr. Jeffers stepped into the role of CEO in February of 2023 with the goal to renovate and repair the current hospital building. Within weeks of coming into that position, he was reviewing quotes from general contractors for necessary repairs, and the board approved over $2 million in immediate safety investments. Building safety events have been a constant and consistent burden. In 2019, a woman was trapped in an elevator due to an electrical fire. And in 2023, a ceiling collapsed on a patient and a mechanical fire required emergency evacuation. Facility staff have consistently had to close patient rooms due to water intrusion, to repair elevators and boilers, and Band-Aid a very old building. These events are not new. These events were the result of years of deferred maintenance under previous leadership. And while no one was seriously hurt, thank goodness, in these incidents, the building itself became a risk to those that the hospital was trying to help. Over the next 18 months, management worked with architects and engineers to determine the cost of bringing the building up to code and partially remodeling it. However, by September 2024, the cost of a partial remodel had ballooned to nearly $25 million and exceeded actually the book value of the hospital. That made one thing perfectly clear. Renovating Levi's current campus at 300 Prospect was not feasible. Previous administration had done just enough to remain operational, often choosing the cheapest short-term fixes over sustainable capital investments. The condition of the building today reflects an organization that was in survival mode for a very long time. A plan for a new downsized hospital focusing on behavioral health was approved in December 2024 with an estimated cost of $18 million. Then, in March of 2025, the Strategic Planning Committee of the board reviewed coming changes to Medicaid, a topic we've all heard a lot about within the last few weeks, and determined that uncertainty surrounding future healthcare reimbursement would materially impact the hospital's financial model for new construction. At the same time, the committee was shown internal data from 2024 that showed of roughly 1,200 patient discharges for that year, only 800 patients had been served in a full year's time. 800, just a little over 2 a day. 600 of those patients were discharged once, but the remaining 200 returned repeatedly and accounted for half of the total discharges. The Community Health Needs Assessment data showed that readmissions from this patient population were predominantly linked to unstable housing, among other social determinant of health factors. On April 3rd, 2025, Mr. Jeffers met with EMS administration here in Hot Springs to address his concern for their ability to handle increased psychiatric transports. EMS leadership confirmed they had both the specialized behavioral health transport vans and adequate staffing to accommodate double the current volume of psychiatric transports if necessary. This provided confidence to Mr. Jeffers and the board that local EMS had the capacity to transport Levi's patients to other psychiatric units without taking ambulances out of service here in Garland County. On April 8th, 2025, Mr. Jeffers proposed this question to the Levi Board of Directors. What can Levi do with the resources it has to provide the greatest community benefit for the longest period of time? The answer, reached unanimously by the Levi Hospital Board on May 8th, 2025, was to transition into a community health foundation that is focused on long-term behavioral health and social determinants of health goals. The decision did not come from financial distress at all. In fact, 2023 and 2024 were the strongest financial years in Levi's history. Levi Hospital is closing in the strongest financial position in its history so that it can pay severances to its employees, meet its obligations, and provide the Levi Foundation the most resources possible to achieve its mission. A note from the hospital audit report summarizes the board's decision as follows, and this is a quote from the audit report. Subsequent to year end, on May 8th, 2025, the Board of Directors of Levi Hospital approved a formal plan to wind down the hospital's operations. This decision was made for strategic and organizational reasons and not as a result of financial distress or insolvency. This is not mission abandonment. This is Levi Hospital reinventing itself to continue to serve the old, the sick, and the poor, as it has done throughout its long history. The mayor proposed that this decision was due to a lack of will, and that's just not true. It takes considerable will for a hospital board to voluntarily close to better serve its community. It takes considerable will for a CEO to develop a strategic plan that results in eliminating their own position. Mr. Jeffers will continue to and will volunteer on the foundation board, but that is an unpaid position. The former CEO has called for the resignation of the board, and that's simply not acceptable. Levi's board is composed of highly qualified professionals, mental health experts, business leaders, and community advocates who volunteer their time, of course with no compensation, to serve the community. They are motivated by service, not politics, and certainly not personal legacy. The former CEO is asked, why take such drastic action now? Well, waiting risks financial distress. We've all heard about the number of small hospitals in Arkansas that are at immediate risk of closure. So acting proactively rather than waiting for future losses to occur conserves resources to be used for the community benefit. The hospital closure cannot and will not be reversed. Supplies and equipment have been donated, staff has found new employment, and the transition is well underway. If the former CEO had a serious desire to understand the facts, the current CEO, Mr. Jeffers, was available for a private, professional conversation, but instead, the former CEO used his public platform to stir doubt and division. That's not leadership, but instead, misleading comments from a disgruntled former employee. Instead of clinging to a decision that will not be reversed, the Levi Foundation Board respectfully asked the city to collaborate with them in, number one, preserving the historic thermal water and the pool in the building, exploring future uses for the Levi building, and building programs that serve Hot Springs' most vulnerable residents. The city and Levi's Foundation's goals should be aligned. The community deserves better than any public display of vendetta. Levi's not closing its mission. Levi's reclaiming it. and they invite you to join them. Thank you.
Ms. Johnson, you have a few moments. I'd like to ask you a few questions. When we talked a week ago today, you agreed that you would address any questions.
Yes, and if I can't address them, then Mr. Jeffers is here to assist me, because I'm not telling you that I can answer all questions, but I think between Mr. Jeffers and I, we can.
Very good. Then following I just have about 5 questions, a little intro, a little exit, and then you guys, if you have any questions, you can certainly address those. On the morning of June 11, 2025, the local community opened the Digital Sentinel record to learn that the hospital was closing August 1st, 2025 to convert to a community health foundation. The suddenness of the announcement with an August 1st, 2025 closure date caught the entire community off guard. When and how was this closure communicated to National Park Medical Center, CHI St. Vincent's, and other stakeholders within the community?
Well, I think Mr. Jeffers is in a better position to answer that question than I am.
Good evening. Our primary concern throughout this process has been keeping it under wraps until we were ready to release the information to our employees, because our main risk was staff finding out that the hospital was closing from someone else other than us and leaving. We're worried about an exodus, and which would affect patient safety. So no, we had no discussions with them. I talked with EMS services to see if they could transport patients if needed. They said they could. And at the end of the day, we can't make a hospital open a psych unit locally.
Is the psych unit staffed today? And when
It
was
is not. It is not
when was
staffed.
the last admission?
Probably 3 weeks ago.
And then the last discharge?
6 days later.
It's not uncommon for hospitals to undergo a change of ownership in order to ensure the continuity of this vital inpatient psychiatric service and other services provided. Was there any consideration of just tossing the keys with the license and provider numbers to another healthcare entity and let them assume the ownership and operation of the hospital?
Yes, there was. Actually, that was our backup plan if we built a new facility, got into financial distress, and weren't able to, because we were going to have to borrow some money to do that regardless, weren't able to pay our bills. We considered maybe we would be able to be acquired by a new company at that point in time. But upon reflection, we looked at Levi's history and its independence.
Can you please speak in the mic? Thank you.
Sorry. Levi's always been an independent hospital for 110 years, and it's a point of pride for everybody on the board and at Levi. And we felt like remaining independent and ensuring Levi lasts for another 110 years and is able to help the community was a better option than trying to force a sale on a building another facility, another hospital may not want later. But had we gone down that route, that was our backup option. If it didn't work out, look for a new owner.
Just my follow-up comment, it doesn't require any further comment. It's just National Park or CHI might have just taken it and run with it. I mean, they can accept a license and accept the provider numbers.
So independence again was matters to us, and we think we can address a lot of our patients' needs without providing the care. Other health systems with more resources, better facilities, are really better able to provide these services. And what we've noticed with our patients, the ones that readmit, as Linda mentioned, due often to unstable housing, what we mean is 1/3 of our patients are homeless, roughly. And when they leave the hospital, they don't take their medicine, they don't go to their outpatient appointments. And we believe that if we can use private money, the foundation money, to work with other nonprofits to, whether it's temporary shelter or what type of service we end up going with, but to do a little bit of hand-holding and take our patients to their appointments, make sure they receive their medications, and provide other services to them as well, they're probably not going to have to go back to the hospital as often. And that's really one of our big goals, is trying to reduce readmissions. It's ineffective for them to have to keep coming back so often.
Very good. Hospitals are highly regulated and complex organizations. Add to this an electronic health record. Internal controls may not be sufficient to ensure compliance with regulations. Is there a concern amongst legal counsel, the hospital board, and executive management that the medical records of patients served may not accurately depict the provision of care provided and by whom, and therefore the hospital may have received reimbursement for care not delivered consistent with the Medicare and Medicaid conditions of participation, thereby requiring a repayment of reimbursement received?
We conduct internal and independent reviews, and as you're aware, you've made repayments to CMS in the past for medical necessity, which I'm assuming is what you're talking about. We've had to repay ARPA money you took and spent on management when it was supposed to be for healthcare workers. But yes, we've made a repayment in the last year. I can't remember off the top of my head, maybe $40,000 in Medicare when we found that a provider did not complete their medical records. That didn't factor into this decision. That's really just more of an ongoing compliance thing that hospitals do. But yes, I guess if you've asked if we've ever made a repayment or a review, yes, we do.
Did the hospital self-report any issue to the state licensing agency, which also serves as the initial contact for centers or Medicare and Medicaid services, and offer to voluntarily close and establish a community health foundation to avoid repayment of reimbursement received?
I don't understand it.
I guess the short answer is no. We're
Okay, that's fine.
there is nothing pending out there that caused the board, and I'm speaking for the board. The board's the one that made the decision. There was no compliance related issue that factored into the board's unanimous decision.
Thank you. Levi Hospital's closing is of a significant community. I don't have any further questions. I just have a closing comment. Thank you. I may have one more question, but we'll decide that later. Levi Hospital's closing of a significant of a significant community interest. Over the July 4th weekend, National Park Medical Center needed to transport 19 psychiatric patients who were considered dangerous to self, others are gravely impaired, to licensed acute care psychiatric programs throughout the state. I do not have the numbers from CHI St. Vincent's for the same weekend. Without Levi, patients were transported as far away as Jonesboro. What was once a 30 to 45 minute round trip transport, ambulances are traveling upwards to 8 hours round trip before they can be called upon for another transport. The patient's family support system is unavailable. Then the discharging facility has a challenge of returning the patient back to their home community, Hot Springs. Furthermore, for court order admissions, the Hot Springs Police Department is responsible for traveling to the out-of-area psychiatric facility and bring that individual to court, then return the individual to the facility. Significant resources are being expended due to the closing. Let's talk about community benefits. We heard here tonight that Levi discharges 1,200 inpatient psychiatric patients per year. Levi also maintains an outpatient psychiatric program and a highly recognized outpatient physical rehabilitation program. For these services, they receive reimbursement of perhaps as much as $8 million annually. From the numbers, it may be actually higher. I fully recognize that there is an indigent patient population, as was addressed. However, with a healthy foundation supporting the provision of direct patient care services, the community benefit of Levi staying open is significant. As a community health foundation with $20 million, investment return may be between 4 and 8%, depending on the mix of fixed income versus equities. If more weighted to fixed income, a return of 5% may be more likely, and as interest rates fall, so will this return. So at 5%, the Community Health Foundation will have an income of $1 million. However, there will be expenses associated with money management fees, foundation employees, and the like. It appears that the greater Hot Springs community and the entire state is foregoing upwards to $8 million in direct patient care services annually for less than $1 million of available funds to be distributed by the Levi Community Health Foundation Board to area nonprofits. I consider this unacceptable trade-off, and not only negatively impacts the mental health status of area residents. It also stresses the ambulance transport services and stresses the emergency rooms at the 2 large acute care hospitals. And that completes my comments. Any other director have questions or comments? Hearing none. Oh, one side comment, Ms. Johnson. I don't know, Brian, did you want to make comment on, is this FOIable?
I considered it to be so. It's addressed to the mayor. You don't have an office here in City Hall, so I'm not sure. But in any event, we always err on the side of caution when it comes to transparency and open records. If we have a correspondence that's addressed to the mayor in that capacity, then that is an open record.
Yeah, and I just want to let Ms. Johnson know that, I found it kind of telling for us, or for myself, is in the position of mayor, as she indicated, it was to me as the mayor, that I would receive such a letter, especially, we received a phone call from the chairman of the board, Mr. Dennis Smith, to our city clerk, Harmony Morrissey, making an inquiry for time at the upcoming board meeting. I think that call came in mid-morning. That was on Thursday, July 3rd. Okay. Then I talked to Brian. Ms. Morrissey called me, and I called Brian and said, why don't you call Ms. Johnson and see if we could set up a conference call for Tuesday at 3 o'clock in advance of the agenda meeting. That would be the agenda meeting for this meeting. So we did have that conference call with Ms. Johnson at 3 o'clock on last Tuesday. And then, but prior to that, going back to July 3rd, so we had all this set up by noon, in advance of noon, that we would talk on what is today, the 15th, we would talk on the 8th at 3 o'clock. And it was about 3:47 that I got my email with the cease and desist. And that was 3:47 on Thursday, July 3rd. The hard copies were not delivered until Monday of the following week. So, but Ms. Johnson, I don't know where we're headed with the Friday Eldridge Clark firm on this, but Friday Eldridge Clark, they serve as bond counsel for the city of Hot Springs. And from 2020 through 2025, we paid, the city of Hot Springs paid, and I have signed documents, water bond and wastewater bond documents, and fees generated by the Friday Eldridge Clark firm has been just shy of $500,000 at $494,000. So I was kind of surprised to get that kind of letter from the same firm that we use for bond counsel, and maybe that doesn't matter. But did you want to? Can I respond, please?
Mr. Mayor, at my firm, we treat all clients equally. It doesn't matter how much they pay us. And this has nothing to do with your capacity as a mayor. I called you mayor out of respect for your office. But this should have nothing to do with your job as mayor. This has everything to do with setting the record straight. That's all I've done. As to the decision that the board of directors unanimously made with regard to Levi Hospital. I know everyone has read in all of the newspapers the fact that 30, no less than 30, of the hospitals in our state are at risk of immediate closure. The Medicaid program is going to be gutted because of the federal legislation. The board is acting, I think, very responsibly to take this action before massive losses cut in. But I will assure you, at my firm, we treat all clients equally, and it doesn't matter how much we're paid to treat one more favorably than another. And this is not a conflict between my partner's representation of the city and my representation of the Board of Directors of Levi Hospital. Thank you. And I'm happy to answer any questions if you all have any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know we have some hands that are raised, and we're, the process here, we weren't going to really take any other comments from the public because this is not an actionable item. We are going to, unless there are other items for discussion, we're going to adjourn the meeting, but those who want to speak under the public comments section, you know, we'll be here for whatever duration required, because this was not an action item that you normally would sign up for, but we normally have certain rules on the public comment, but as to the number of people, but given the discussions and given the attendance, if those want to talk in excess of the number that we would normally, we'll certainly be here for you. So is there any other business that come before the board? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn for the evening.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.